What up, it's Dane here. In this video I'm going to be telling you how often you should work out per week, right? So I know so many people that work, I say, once per week doing the bro split and they're not getting optimal gains. However, I'll tell you that further in the video, but let me tell you now exactly how many times a week you should be working out for maximal hypertrophy gains. Okay, so the answer you're going to look for is a direct answer. I already know that you're probably looking for twice a week, 3 times a week, and the answer is minimum twice a week right now. This has been shown by research by Ben Schofer and many other people in a research or scientific based industry. So minimum 2 times a week should be good enough, meaning you can do an upper lower split, or you can do a full body workout split maybe 3 times a week. That should be good to go. Now, one thing you have to note though is that just by doing more training frequency and training more often during the week doesn't necessarily mean you'll gain more muscle, because one thing you have to know as well is that it becomes like an inverted U effect, meaning say this is training 1 time per week, this is training 2, this is really optimal, and then training 6 times a week might be suboptimal. However, again, research is very unclear on this, so just as a recommendation, keep it minimum 2 times per week. So this is very important that you notice. Just by adapting the volume, training, or frequency, or especially frequency, because you want to know how many times to work out per week, doesn't necessarily you're gonna gain more muscle mass, because you need to understand that by changing the volume, by changing the intensity, all this is going to differ, right? Because if you train really intense, meaning you train for a lot of strength and you train 6-7 times per week with no rest, your body's going to like reach non-functional overreaching, aka overtraining. Okay, now that I've given you the answer you're probably looking for, let me give you the answer you should probably know. As always in the fitness industry, there's no one good direct answer. It's individual preference. So how many times should you work out per week may differ. Here's why. It really doesn't matter if you do upper lower split, pull push leg split altogether, as long as you have the same equated volume at the end of the week and you're applying progressive tension overload, right? If you're not applying progressive tension overload, no matter how much volume you do, your muscle hypertrophy gains will plateau eventually. So you need to periodize your program so you have strength phases and hypertrophy phases, as well as deload phases. So now that we know the basics of how many times you should work out per week in order to get optimal results, let's talk about adherence, which is probably the most important thing when it comes to fitness overall. So like I've just mentioned, as long as the equated volume and a progressive tension overload is applied, it doesn't really matter how many times a week you work out, as long as it's not 1 time per week, meaning the bro split, right? The bro split has got its own time and place. However, usually for the majority of people it's not optimal, so just keep this all in mind. So what I mean by adherence is sticking to the program, right? For example, say your life is really busy, you've got loads of stuff going on, right? Reduce your training frequency just by training maybe 3 times per week. Do full body workouts so you hit each muscle group at least 3 times per week. That should be optimal for muscle gain, and just ensure that you get the same amount of volume or even more volume than you did before, depending on your level obviously, in order to get good muscular gains, right? So that's the equated volume. Now we train 3 times per week, full body workout. Now we just need to make sure that progressive tension overload is applied, and you will still be making gains, right, despite you being in the gym a lot less. Now the opposite is also true. If your lifestyle is not very busy at the moment and you can handle better training frequency, say for example 6 to 7 times per week, then maybe we can do a pull push leg split. Obviously there's pros and cons of full body workouts like every single split, but in my opinion I just think pull push legs allows you to focus more on specific muscle groups, kind of like the bro split, but at least training each muscle group twice a week. So again, it just comes to your lifestyle and what program you can actually adhere to. That's the most important point. Okay, to wrap the video up here so I don't talk on for any longer than I need to, just apply equated volume, make sure that's the same, or even increase it over a period of time. In fact, you need to increase it if you want to get more muscular gains, and make sure progressive tension overload is also applied. Now, the biggest factor, it comes to adherence. For example, when I'm really busy and I need to focus on something else, because your life is not just all around gym, well mine is like 80%, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? Just periodize your periodize your life basically, and your volume, intensity, and training frequency. So anyway, adherence, tip of the pyramid as always. You already know the deal, man. Coming out of a Get Big video series where I give you meal plans for, say, someone that's 125 pounds, 150 pounds. Don't reveal too much here. All the mechanisms of hypertrophy, it goes on and on and on in order to get buff. All the skinny people, all the kind of newbies, beginners, even people that think they know everything and they're still kind of skinny, they're not muscular at all. you need to get this program. So anyway, this is coming soon. You already know the deal. Subscribe down below if this is the first video you've watched and you enjoy it, you find it informative. Stay positive, stay smiling. Let's get it. I'm out.